that early game.
Yeah, I mean, the turn 2 Dark Arakoa looked like it might have been just like unrecoverable.
Yeah.
Shoop found a way to recover, and then just the Cthulhu wiping out his Azure Drake.
Yeah.
And just being a 12-12 is it's kind of enough sometimes. You pretty much said all the analysis there. The player who gets the first Cthulhu oftentimes is the one who's very far ahead, and that's just exactly what we saw that game.
All right, moving into game number 3 here. It's going to be Warlock versus Warlock, but 2 different types. TerrenceM's going to throw out the Zoo. Shoop does have the combo Reno lock, which we saw quite a bit of yesterday as Shoop went to a crazy fatigue match that ended up sending him to the final day today.
Yeah, I mean, pretty mediocre opening hand here for Shoop so far. Terrence's is not too bad. He does know he's fighting against Reno, and so that can change the opening hand dynamics a little bit. Like, they're often going to have, if they have an opening play, it's going to be Acidic Swamp Ooze or Dark Peddler, so having that Direwolf Alpha alongside Possessed Villager will allow some nice trade-ups. And Abusive Sergeant is really just there to add pressure to the board as quickly as possible and push some damage. I was going to pitch away that Direwolf Alpha. I mean, there is only 2 drops that really answers, so I don't blame him for this whatsoever. But this Acidic Swamp Ooze is actually going to be not that bad.
Just going to contest the early game, and that's kind of what you need. You need to just try and make it. Hellfire is great. Shadow Flame's great. Demon Wrath would be great, too, if that's picked up.
Yeah, I'm not going to coin out the Acidic Swamp Ooze. I imagine the Hellfire really changed the way that this is going to work.
Yeah.
I think still pretty likely to play this Ooze on 2 here. Yeah, doesn't want to just life tap. Knows that his life total is not going to be as big of a resource as it normally would be given the pressure he's under.
Yeah.
And I think Terrence making the right play here, just kind of throwing caution to the wind where AoE is concerned. It's pretty difficult to really pick up a win against it.
Where was the Discover? It disappeared. We see the back of the cards, and we turned around, and the front of the cards aren't there.
Possessed Villager, not bad. Anything to just keep the presence going. Is going to Abusive Sergeant, and that's going to be wide open for this Hellfire to clean out the board, and Terrence is going to be left with Possessed Villager, Power Overwhelming, and the draw for his turn, Shoop, with a very timely Hellfire. I mean, I think Terrence is playing this right, too. You kind of just have to ignore these AoE spells. They only have 1 copy of them.
Yeah. Just have to hope they don't have it, but Forbidden Ritual on the reload. That's a great pickup.
We'll help him get some damage going. Shoop does have Imp Gang Boss to begin contesting here and can start building towards that Shadow Flame he has. Terrence has got a major uphill battle here. He's going to drop Shoop probably around to the 10 range and then have maybe a difficult time closing if he doesn't draw Soulfire, Leroy Jenkins, or just strong minions that are going to live through the pressure that Shoop's going to put back on board to fight back.
Yeah. So without this tap, it looks like TerrenceM just going to empty his hand in a Knife Juggler, Power Overwhelming, trade in Possessed Villager. Get this off the board. That's exactly what he's going to do. So full control over the board now, once again, pushing even more damage.
Yep. Very nice control here from Terrence as he continues to wipe out minions. Knows that Shadow Flame is going to be one of the ways he can lose this game. Leroy for the wrong player, sort of. Dragon Egg is awfully interesting versus Knife Juggler.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Power Overwhelming.
Yeah, it's also just they could just trade into it for free, effectively.
Now the big question, do you Life Tap or do you Shadow Bolt that Knife Juggler? He wants Terrence to commit more. He's just going to go with Soulfire here instead. Oh, and the Shadow Flame gets discarded. And that's going to be the big signal to Terrence. I mean, he's already pushing no matter what, but now he can do it kind of fearlessly.
He's thinking maybe I just make four tentacles, but he wouldn't make room on his board. I mean, I guess Shoop would trade in, but still, Defender of Argus pushed the immediate damage.
Yeah, losing that Shadow Flame cost Shoop the ability to wipe the board clean this turn. I didn't anticipate Shadow Flame getting discarded to the Soulfire. I thought he would just Shadow Flame. I'm sorry, to Shadow Bolt the Knife Juggler. Now instead, it's looking stranded.
Yeah.
Try to pad this life total more, but I don't know if he's going to get to Twisting Nether. 3, 4, 7. Yeah, just Forbidden Ritual and push the damage, and Shoop is staring at lethal next turn.
What can he even draw now? It's going to help him. I mean, Sentient Shieldmaster will buy some time, but how much time?
Yeah, I mean, can he even afford to life tap here? That's kind of what I'm looking at. I don't think so. Shadow Bolt, Taz Dingo. Terrence just once again going to reload the board. He's going to almost certainly using the Power Overwhelming to run this over. And even Knife Juggler gets picked. He's just free to hold on to the Knife Juggler, I think. Shoop is probably going to need Reno Jackson.
Yeah. Maybe he's thinking of holding on to the Power Overwhelming. Try and get an extra draw with this Knife Juggler. Or with this Mortal Coil. You can Knife Juggler, trade in Flame Imp, trade in Possessed Villager. Try and get some extra juggles to try and preserve some of that board. Mortal Coil and try and get closer to some extra burn. He's thinking if I Power Overwhelming in, what happens if my opponent heals back up or clears the board?
Yeah, I think Twisting Nether is on Terrence's mind, but the idea that you could play around Twisting Nether in this spot is a bit ludicrous, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, the right call. Play nothing, I think. It's not a Reno, but... I mean, this might be tap for Reno. If he just Demon Wrath, he's at 4, so he's dead to Power Overwhelming. He's dead to Knife Juggler minions. He's dead to Leroy Jenkins.
I feel like he's got to take the risk and go for the Reno.
It feels like something Shoop would definitely do is kind of going, well, it looks bad, but if this is the way I win. And that being said, if he Demon Wraths and doesn't die, he'll get 2 draws for Reno instead.
But how likely is it that you not die in that situation?
Well, not very. So taps, use the Demon Wrath, and now if Terrence picks up a single minion, he's got the game, and there it is. 2-1 for Terrence at this point. Tucking away that Zoolock. Like I said, this might be the weak point of Shoop's deck, is this Reno Jackson Warlock. It's very good versus the slower matchups, but in these quicker ones, it is very difficult to pick up a win with.
Yeah, very true. And so TerrenceM takes the lead. Freeze Mage and Warrior left for him, but we'll see if Shoop can manage to find a win with these matchups. Hunter's going to have a pretty good matchup against Freeze Mage. The Cthulhu Druid actually, surprisingly, has a decent matchup against Freeze Mage too, because he just played big threat after big threat. And I know can suffer from, the old case of Ramp Druid. Well, how do you deal with Frostmourne with Doomsayer, things like that. But if you get an early enough Cthulhu, if you put on an early enough pressure, it can be good.
Yep. I think the major thing